Earth. She's been good to us. In her warm seas, we made the leap from simple minerals to complex life, and from there to total assholes. Let's face it, we, humanity, are Earth's hastily chosen Facebook roommate. Sure, we were okay at first, but just in the last week, we've let the ice melt, engaged in public self-harm, batted the thermostat off the wall, and started a chemical fire. Earth is breaking up with us, and frankly, we deserve it. Earth tried to tell us. The seas have been rising, polar ice caps shrinking, and while all that's going on, we had the nerve to ask her to shave her rainforests. Honestly, at this point, we've been such garbage partners, even we have to admit it's time for Earth to move on. But hey, don't panic. We get to move on too, right? Our billionaires are already playing the field. Elon Musk has been making eyes at Mars for years now. Jeff Bezos told his engineers if they built him a working launch vehicle, he'd let them use the bathroom. So what's out there? Where can we, the human race, find comfort? Let's have a look. Ask yourself, would you date the planets? First option, Mercury. Aside from a surface that reaches 10,000 degrees Kelvin during the day with trace amounts of iron and krypton, well, there's only one man hot enough to live on Mercury. The most sexually powerful man ever to live. Freddie Mercury. That guy was something else. Mercury is about 4.5 billion years old, but it's not like she lists it on her Tinder bio. Mercury's exosphere contains a lot of helium, which would make it much more difficult to eradicate all clowns. People have been ogling Mercury with the naked eye for all of human history, but Galileo was among the first creepers to use a telescope. Galileo was condemned by the Catholic Church for heresy, but hundreds of years later, the Church would apologize and get inspired to create the world's greatest perverts. You see what I'm saying? It's a shock Earth has stuck with humanity as long as she has. I think we owe Mercury an apology for the probes. The probes started with Mariner in 1974. I'm not saying I would mind, depending on the Mariner, but still. Mariner didn't even ogle Mercury directly. It orbited the sun and gave Mercury the occasional side-eye. Like walking past your crush's workplace, it's pretty creepy. The second probe was Messenger, which I guess is like being eyeballed by the mailman. Again, depends on the mailman. With no atmosphere, huge temperature fluctuations, and little to no liquid water, it's not going to work out with Mercury. Venus is one of the brightest objects in the sky. We've been admiring her for longer than recorded history. The Mayans followed all of Venus's movements and wrote them down. That's called science. Unless you do it to a person, and then it's called stalking. In 1966, the Russians crashed the Venera 3 probe into Venus, which was the first spacecraft to reach another planet, and a shitty way to say hello. Because of the temperature and pressure on Venus, there's almost no liquid water, and that's a problem. Humans are basically sacks of meaty water that generate opinions, like an ill-informed stew. Like the Sun and Mercury, the Earth and the Moon have a pretty codependent relationship. Humans have already touched the Moon without its consent, which is extremely on brand for our species. The Moon is strong enough to raise Earth's sea levels, but not enough to raise our interest level. Mars. Okay, sure, everyone loves Mars. But it's really just the moon of planets. Elon Musk loves Mars. He can't wait to be the first to get there so he can outlaw workers' unions. Mars's moons are small and poorly formed, like hastily drawn testicles. You can spot them in the sky, but only if you squint and cough. We've sent several all-terrain vehicles to Mars. They have knobby tires and complicated suspensions, just like the Jeeps most Americans drive to Walmart. They say one day Mars might even develop a ring. Well, not from me. Moving farther out from Mars, we hit the asteroid belt. Like a dockside bar at closing time, options are thin out here. Our only hope in the belt is Ceres, a dwarf planet. It's small, but big enough to be round, which is good enough for Sir Mix-a-Lot. Having sufficient gravity to pull oneself into a sphere is the adulthood of planets, and Ceres is definitely there. Unlike Pluto, which is lumpy and still lives at home, there's not a lot of material in the asteroid belt. In fact, the mass of the whole belt is less than that of Pluto. Like Belgium, if you were passing through the asteroid belt, you might not even know. Ceres has tons of water sloshing around inside it, kind of like the Titanic after, the thing. A day on Ceres lasts 9 hours and 4 minutes. That's about 9 hours longer than my last bodily encounter. Ceres might make a good one-night stand, but we're looking for long-term. We could never live on Jupiter. Not only does it not have a surface, it's also massively radioactive. Kind of like someone who doesn't have a job and is also an asshole. Jupiter has tons of moons. More moons than a Scottish wedding on a windy day. In fact, it has so many moons that the name of some of them is just the Excel cell they were in, thus Io. Io is a shithole, let's just be clear about that. It's yellow and extremely volcanic, like the solar system's angriest booger. Europa is the smallest of the 4 Galilean moons. It has the smoothest surface of anything in the solar system. Anything that smooth has a good chance of creating life. Colonization of Europa would be difficult, as it experiences about 1,800 times the radiation we get here on Earth. That's like eating 1,800 bananas, while being microwaved. Ganymede is the largest moon in our solar system, but it also has no atmosphere. It's like a suburban American McMansion. Big, spacious, and aggressively boring. Ganymede does have plenty of water, possibly even a subterranean ocean, but it's also cold, in precisely the same way that by 2050, none of us will be, ever again. Our best bets near Saturn are Titan, or Enceladus. Both have liquid water oceans, which is great, but Enceladus's ocean is just sexier. I mean, that's salinity, baby. In 2015, NASA's Cassini spacecraft reached out and touched the plumes of water erupting from Enceladus, which, again, is completely inappropriate contact and completely on brand for humans. Imagine walking up behind a long-haired stranger on a public street, lifting a lock of their hair and giving it a noisy sniff. That's us. We did that to Enceladus. Uranus is known as the sideways planet, because so many people have made the same low-effort joke about it that it just fell over. Neptune was predicted mathematically before it was observed, when someone with the money to own a telescope accidentally listened to someone who knew how to use it. But hey, if we listened to scientists, where would we be? With thriving flora and fauna, renewable energy, and a future of sparkling planetary health? I mean, that's nerd shit. The only thing smaller and less significant than Pluto is the likelihood that any of our writers managed to get late. There is speculation by Caltech professors Batygin and Brown that there is a 9th planet. It's dark. It's mysterious. I'm not gonna lie. I'm desperate to it. God, I want to bang that planet! Look, there's just no option in the solar system that's anything like Earth. We've got to make this work. But what can we do? Here are a few small steps. Walk to the gym instead of driving there, and then walk home because you already worked out. Change all your light bulbs to more efficient stolen light bulbs. Use public transportation more often to convince yourself never to leave home in the first place. Get a bicycle and spend more energy telling other people to get a bicycle. Save energy on laundry by being naked. Save water in the shower by being disgusting. Power down your computer after watching graphic Planet 9 pornography. Whatever we do, we have to make this work, folks. There might be some technical advance in the future that solves this problem, but like a vintage condom, we can't count on it.